Next, Idaho is experiencing a renaissance. Growth in the state is opening up opportunities for expansion and remodeling of some of the region's most popular attractions. Today, we focus on Tamarack Resort and the Boise Public Library. Both are hoping to embark on major rebuilding projects. There are huge upsides for both plans. Others say there is also the potential for a much different outcome. Past and future, next on Viewpoint.
From Idaho's News Channel 7, this is Viewpoint.
And we welcome you to Viewpoint today, and we begin today with the rebirth of the construction at Tamarack Resort. The once financially troubled ski resort was in the final construction phase 10 years ago when it went under in a big way. Now, under new ownership led by longtime ski resort industry veteran John Reveal, the sun is shining brightly over the Donnelly Gem. We gave our Gretchen Parsons an inside look, John did, at what's to come.
Reveal took us on a tour of what looks like a ghost town, but he says 1 year from now, the condos, retail space, and restaurants will be finished. And while prior owners essentially ran the village into the ground, Reveal is looking at the glass half full. He says inspectors haven't found any water damage, the concrete is good, and no mold.
We are going to start with just a part of the village to get it up and running, and then base the rest of it on demand, so that we do not have too much structure and too much debt on the place, and that's exactly where they got to last time.
Reveal added that many of the same contractors who started work on the village will be helping finish it. As for mountain operations, ticket prices will stay the same, and season passes and pre-scheduled events will still be honored.
John Reveal heads up Tamarack Resort Holdings and joins us now to talk about something that you have been living for a year now.
Exactly.
The rebirth of Tamarack. Let's begin with how this came to be. How did you get together this ownership group and say, hey guys, I want to let you know about something that two previous owners weren't able to pull off, but we can?
Yeah.
How'd you do that?
Well, it's a matter of putting the right people in the right place, and we looked at it. Actually took us 2 years to get all the way through it, with first looking at it and saying, I think this is possible, and then it turned out to not be possible, and so we almost walked away from the whole thing for a period of time.
Really?
And
how many owners are we talking about in the group?
There's really only 4.
Okay.
There's only 4 people in the whole
group. And ski resort veterans as well?
Well, the people that I'm involved with, they happen to purchase all of the base areas of about 11 or 12 ski areas a couple years ago when Interwest was broken up into the ski area side and then the retail side at the bottom. And they bought all the retail. And so they knew what it was like at the base area, but they wanted to get more involved. And so one of the owners, who happened to be a owner at the Yellowstone Club, and I don't know if you know, but I was involved in the planning and building and operation at the Yellowstone Club, and I was there with Warren Miller. And one of the owners of our group was also an owner at the Yellowstone Club, and he went to Warren and said, you know, we don't know very much about, you know, the vertical side of this. What should we do? And he said, get a hold of John Reveal. So that's how I got involved with this ownership group, and we looked at it, and as I said, we walked away once, and then we finally were able to put together about 19 or so different companies that all had to do with the village and all of the land and everything else, and then we were THAC, which is Tamarack Homeowners Acquisition Corporation, they were able to put together a whole bunch of pieces of land. So there's really only 2 groups that we had to deal with at that time. So when that happened, then we were on our way.
Well, I want to get to the ground floor of this construction project that's underway. Now that the season is over at Tamarack, that closed with the video that you just saw, there is a really cool tour that you gave Gretchen a few months ago. That you can find on our website right now. And I want to take a look at a little bit of this video, because you took her inside the vacant condos and some of the buildings there in the village. This is not that video. The video is of the tour. And it's incredible that everything from the shelves to the tables to the televisions are still in boxes untouched. So take us through what this construction project, as I mentioned, that stopped 10 years ago is like.
A lot of the stuff that was purchased, and you have to realize, I talked to one of the GCs that was the general contractor that was there before, and he was saying that they were within 2.5 to 3 weeks of taping and texturizing and painting on the very top floor of the Roseberry building, one of the 3 that we are going to finish off this summer. And when you walk around in there and look at it and you go, my gosh. And I think the best story I have is as you know, when they put up 4x8 sheets of plywood over a door, they actually put it up first and they come back and cut the rest of the door out.
Right.
There's one place that I walked into where they had stopped, actually put up the plywood or the drywall, but they had never cut out the door. So you actually had to lean under to go into that room. And in that room, there's a nail in the drywall, and on that nail, there was a hoodie that had been there for 11 years and never moved.
Wow.
You know, we picked up little things on the floor, you know, like I think it was potato chips that had an expiration date of 2007, you know, and it had not been moved. And when you say ghost town, it really was, because there was still plans on the floor, there was sawdust, everything was there, nothing had been moved. But we're very, very lucky in that our environment here is very dry, and not too warm, not too cold, and everything was very well preserved.
Right.
Everything was preserved.
It's like climate controlled inside.
Exactly.
So what's the timeline then as we take a look at that village at getting that up and running in the way that the former owners had envisioned it?
We hope to have 3 of the 6 buildings done by the end of November, first part of December of this year.
In time for skiing.
In time for skiing, yeah. And we will move some of our ticket sales and that into those buildings. And we will also be looking at a little bit of retail. But we're, you know, as we go through, have you ever done a remodel? You know it costs twice as much and it's going to take you 3 times longer than what you think, or vice versa.
Right.
And so as we hope to have everything done by the end of November, but you're going to see things slip as we go.
What about the golf course?
The golf course is another animal completely. We own 3 of the 18 holes, and there's another group, and we're working with them to try to put it all together, and we hope to have that done. Probably not by the end of this summer will we be able to get out there and start renovating that. And then we think it's going to be a 2-year period.
Right.
So
it's
we will be
seed.
just in time for your retirement. we'll be able to have the golf course up and running.
Don't push me out the door yet,
Yeah,
John.
no, okay.
Still got a lot to go.
Yeah.
We've got about 2 minutes. I want to get your vision for Tamarack. Where do you see Tamarack 5 years, 10 years from now?
What I see 5 years out is we are going to be moving more towards the south on the area. We are going to be looking at the area off to the south of us with Heritage, and we're going to see more lifts. And what we hope to do is always keep our ski and our golf ahead of our customers that we have, so that we aren't having big long lift lines. The one thing you hear about ski areas all the time is long lift lines and short runs.
Right.
We want to switch that. We want to have short lift lines and long runs.
Right.
And so we want to keep building out so that we have more and more skiing for the people. Also, in the summertime, look towards a marina or something like that on Lake Cascade. And so we'll really have 2 seasons at the resort. We'll have our good winter season, a good summer season, and then the traditional mud season in between.
And you're open for the summer as well?
We're open for the summer as well, absolutely, yep.
The zip line is going to be going?
Zip line and mountain biking, and we've got a couple of events around mountain biking, and of course we have our little temporary marina down on Lake Cascade where you can rent boats and go out and play in the water as well.
Well, as you mentioned, Warren Miller, he was kind of your mentor.
He was.
And you were kind of the face of skiing in the 60s and 70s in his films. He would come here every year and debut his latest movie for a fundraiser for Bogus Basin, and would do it as well in Sun Valley. And I just want to say that I think Tamarack is in good hands if John Reveal is heading up things.
Mark,
thanks for being here.
All right,
appreciate it. Good luck.
Welcome.
I'm going to be checking on that golf course. Coming up next, it's an $80 million undertaking, talking about the Boise Library project, one that has a lot of people excited. Not everyone is on board. We're talking about that when Viewpoint continues.
Try it there.
Spring means out with the old.
There.
To make room for the new.
Here. A little further. Keep going.
I'm outside now?
Perfect.
It's the home makeover sale at Furniture Row. Save big on hundreds of refreshing new room groups perfect for living, dining, bedroom, and more. Plus, 48 months, no interest financing. Spring into big savings and style. The home makeover sale on now at Furniture Row.
Unlimited data means no limits on you. Download faster, reach further, and dream bigger. Cable One, high-speed internet, comes home.
Are you or someone you care about having a hard time hearing lately? And do you wonder if you might be needing to get it checked out? Well, on Thursday, April 11th, from 3 to 6, the Meridian Health Science Center at Idaho State University is offering free hearing screenings to the community. Don't miss this opportunity. There is no appointment necessary, and all individuals 3 years and older are welcome.
To post your local event, visit the Idaho Events calendar at ktvb.com.
It's a new playing field in Washington politics. The 116th Congress, the most diverse ever, with more than 100 women.
Do you think the money tainted this doctor's medical judgment?
Yes.
Schindler's List. Is this an important time to re-release this film?
I think there's more at stake today than even back then.
She doesn't perform, so he can.
You can do anything if you just try.
And tonight, we are back, and the main Boise Library project has become one of the capital city's most contentious issues in recent months. A massive $80 to $85 million complete redo where the current 72-year-old building now sits off of Capitol Boulevard. In the last couple of weeks, Idaho lawmakers have gotten involved and proposed legislation that would require an election for municipalities for municipal buildings and stadiums that use urban renewal money, which comes from property taxes, part of the proposed funding sources for the project. An election that would require 60% of the voters to vote in favor to pass it. Alongside is Boise Library Director Kevin Boo and Boise Library Foundation President Bev Herod. Thank you both for being here. Welcome to Viewpoint.
Thank you for having us.
This is so timely, as you guys both know. We have been hearing from leadership in the State House about this issue, why they push for it, but there's so much uncertainty about it. The city of Boise last week said, we don't really know what this means for the library project going forward. At this taping, the governor has not signed that bill into law. So how, I guess the question is, how are you both processing what happened at the State House, and how are you moving forward as questions come about because of
Well,
this?
I think you answered that very well, Mark. We don't know. Right now it's all speculation, and the city's going to be analyzing that in great detail as it progresses forward. Meanwhile, we are still busy in schematic and design development. We are continuing the project goals. We're continuing working on the project, and we'll continue to do so until we're forced to stop.
Well, let's take a look, first of all, because people want to know. Originally, the first published reports of the project came out over $100 million. That's been scaled back now down to this $80 to $85 million price tag. If we can show the graphic and see how this all breaks down, and it breaks down like this: $18 million from philanthropy. That's where Mrs. Herod comes in. $15 million CCDC, that is the urban renewal money. $15 million from Boise City funds that are in place, and then $32 to $35 million in lease financing. Kevin, what does that mean?
Well, that means that you get a third party who would actually own the building and fund the construction, and then the city would pay that back over time.
I see.
And that's exactly how the current building was financed back in 1972. It was the same methodology. So that is not unusual. It's within Idaho law, and it's certainly a tool that cities can use to build capital projects.
So I guess the question is then, if this becomes law where there requires a vote for urban renewal money, would there be a way to back out that $15 million from the CCDC, turn to Bev Harrod and say, okay, Beverly, you've done a great job in the years that you've been around. We need to come up with another $15 million.
We'd have to have a plan. I mean, that's one of those things that you'd have to sit down and strategize about and try to figure out what the best thing to do would be. And right now, I think it's too premature to even think about it.
All right, I've got to ask you, Bev, you worked almost full time in the last couple of years on this capital campaign fund and the library fundraising. Tell us about the process and how people reacted to you when you said, we need money for the library. And they say, wait a second, you've got a library. It's right there on Capitol Boulevard. What do you need money for? How has that been handled?
Well, you know, when I came on as chair of the foundation, we spent about 2 years doing what we call friend raising, building up the image of the library and making it, letting people know how much fun it is and how much we value their participation in the library, and it worked. It worked. We did some fun fundraisers, one of which you played a little part in.
I did.
You don't
for
mind.
A couple of years.
Yeah, and I'll come back again. You could be back.
Okay.
And so that gave us a nice bridge. When we started the capital campaign, and my husband George and I were asked if we would co-chair, we kind of looked at each other because we've been involved with fundraisers for 40 years, but we have never, ever gone out and made an ask, because we figured we wouldn't have a friend left in Boise if we did that. They'd walk the other direction. This is different. This is different. This we could do because we just believe in the library 110%. We know how they value people. We know the services they give. So it was very easy for us to be part of this campaign.
Yeah, when you see that $18 million in philanthropy,
yes,
do you pinch yourself a little bit?
No, because it's just not George and me. It's Kevin. It's Chandra Ford from the mayor's office. It's Mark Durgan is the other co-chair.
Right.
No, because as we go out, and this is the quiet stage, and I say, Mark, we want to come and talk to you about the library.
Yeah.
And we know the people that we're going to talk to, and they say, sure, come on over. And we give them the information, and we tell them about all the wonderful things that are happening. They go, wow, didn't know it.
Yeah.
And then we can say to them, you know what, we made a commitment here, and we've never done this before. But this is how we feel. As
a foundation chair that's been charged with philanthropy, how did you process what happened this week at the State House?
I am mystified by the whole process. I really am. It's for me, as an individual, it's very disappointing that we can't get some resolve.
That lawmakers are asking to have a hand in how municipalities operate? Is that the bottom line?
Yeah, yeah.
Kevin, this is one of those debates that in at least one case has elevated to a repulsive level, and I don't use that word lightly. You reported an incident that involved a volunteer library employee who was conducting a service survey at Tree Fort, and that person was spit on by a festival goer. What action did you take after this?
Well, the employee reported that to me that weekend, and I want to say we have no evidence that that person spit on the employee because of the project. Nevertheless, that was the first thing that came to mind, because we have experienced rude behavior in the city from various factions of the city who are against all kinds of different things. So my first response was, I want to make sure that the groups who are against certain city projects disavow that kind of behavior. And that's why I posted the Facebook message. The Boise Weekly did an interview with me last week, I believe, and I think that I did receive personal notes back from members of one of those groups that said they were not responsible for that, and they certainly disavow that behavior. And I thought that was really nice. I think that's how we should approach things in our city. Our city's known for kindness. It's not known for that kind of behavior,
Yeah.
regardless of the issue.
You're right next door to the Wasmus Center for this
Yeah.
very
Yes,
thing.
exactly.
It's repulsive. All right, we have covered a couple of public input sessions that you guys have conducted in recent months, and the main concern after the price tag, which you've already spoken about, is about the cosmetics. Let's take a look now at the library design as it sits to this day. Obviously, it's a fluid thing. And this design is unlike anything that exists anywhere in the region. How do you handle the questions that come up about this amazing design?
You know, the best thing about this design is that it is truly a centerpiece and a focal point for downtown, but also the cultural district. The urban room, the gathering spaces that are present there, the plaza space, the arcade space, all of this is a welcoming signal into downtown Boise, into the downtown core. And the urban room in particular is a space that can be used for events. It can be used as a meeting place for tours. It can be used as an opening into the Arts and History Center as well as the library. And these services are symbiotic, and I always say they can collide to give a greater experience. I know of no other facility that puts arts and history in the library in the same location. This will be a first in the United States.
This is, Bev, kind of our Guggenheim, isn't it? For a Guggenheim library.
It is.
It could be.
It is. And look at the fame Guggenheim.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is something, the questions about design, that you've turned into a positive, obviously.
Of course. It should be.
Right.
It is.
Yeah.
It's iconic.
Yeah.
It helps everybody.
And the log cabin situation has been rectified. City Council has determined that that needs to go across the street to Julia Davis Park.
Correct. We're working right now on some site planning for the log cabin and the literary service that's in there on the east side of Julia Davis Park on the Broadway side. And right now we're working with architects to develop a great site for them. Their board is very excited about that and glad that episode, so to speak, is over.
Yeah. 1 minute to wrap things up very quickly. A timeline. What happens now?
Sure. Right now we're in schematic and design development. We're hoping to have that completed by July, and then we'll enter into that construction document, more design development phase. And after that's completed, we'll have a better timeline on the groundbreaking. We're hoping to open in late 2022.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And of course, the next round of public input coming up this summer. All right, it is a massive project. It is one that will continue to garner news coverage, and we will be there every step of the way. As I like to do, I like to put my sign.
Yes, that's your selfie.
That's your selfie. There you
Library.
go.
He's well trained.
There
Very
we go.
good, Mark.
Thanks for being here, you both.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We'll be back with a final word after this.
Library.
Try it there.
Spring means out with the old
There.
to make room for the new.
Here. A little further? Keep going.
I'm outside now?
Perfect.
It's the home makeover sale at Furniture Row. Save big on hundreds of refreshing new room groups perfect for living, dining, bedroom, and more. Plus, 48 months, no interest financing. Spring into big savings and style. The home makeover sale on now at Furniture Row.
When you need an electrician, you go with the pros. When you need a haircut, you go with the pros. When it comes to heating, cooling, and plumbing, go with the pros at YMC Mechanical. Family-owned and serving the Treasure Valley for 3 generations, YMC offers the best products and services that our professionally trained technicians can fit in your home. Get a year's supply of filters with a new HVAC service agreement. Go with the pros at YMC Mechanical, a Bryant Factory authorized dealer, whatever it takes.
A day with so many surprises. What surprise could top it?
I'm sexually attracted to Robert Mueller.
All new Ellen, Chelsea Handler. Plus,
she's written more than 100 letters to me. Usually when someone writes me that much, I like to keep them far, far away from me.
Ellen surprises a fan in Rome.
I'm doing a show right now.
Weekdays at 2 on Idaho's News Channel 7.
It feels like you're in an entirely new world, and you don't even have to leave the city for it. You can bring food and drink and just sit down.
Or you can acquire it there, so they make it convenient for you.
It's just a great little slice of the Treasure Valley.
Great theater in the great outdoors.
Get your friends together, you buy your wine, you get your snacks.
Great theater in an awe-inspiring setting. Convenient to downtown, but feels like you've been transported to some magical oasis.
Idaho Shakespeare Festival, an in-town escape.
From Idaho's News Channel 7, this is Viewpoint.
In the coming weeks and months, we will continue to cover the developments of both the library and Tamarack projects as our state continues to grow. And once again, if you get a chance to go to our website, take a look at the tour that John Reveal gave to our Gretchen Parsons inside those condos, which, as mentioned earlier, 10 years ago were in the final phase of construction and have sat idle for over 10 years. Brand new flat screen televisions, brand new shelving, brand new beds, and more inside. So you can check that out. Also, for more on the library and what's going to happen next, also ktvb.com is a good place for you to head, where you can continue to get updates on the developments at the library project. That's going to do it for us for now. Thanks so much for watching. Our Doug Petcash will be back next week for another edition of Viewpoint. In the meantime, I'll see you back here tonight for the 1-hour edition of the Sunday News at 10.